Hello everyone. I'm a little late getting in here. Um, Checking. Okay, I think we're good. Um, Gonna have to sit. Hi, welcome. I'm a little late getting in here. I had a technical thing I had to do and had to figure out how to change a font on something, but I think I figured it out. Okay, let's see here. So, where we were on Sunday, we did the first two rows of our blanket, but I want to show this real quick. This is how I'm doing it, keeping track of my temperatures. You don't have to get fancy like this. I changed the thing where whatever color I'm going to use, I've changed the font of the temperature to be that color. And then when I've done a row, I put a mark on it just so I know. You could do this by pen and paper. You don't gotta be high tech and use an application. So let's get started. So the first 3 days we've done, so we had green, blue, green, and that's what I did on stream the other night. My goal is by the end of the stream tonight to get Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday done. My goal is each week, Sundays and Tuesdays, to do the blanket, and between those 2 days, between the Sundays and Tuesday streams, to do the previous week's um, rows. So it won't the week won't be finished until that Tuesday, and I'm only doing it on stream. So we're going to show what we've done, and again, green, blue, green, because that's the temperatures we've had. Does anybody have any questions pertaining to any of this so far? Fix this one stitch. Let me. Wait, why can't I zoom in? Um, that makes it. I had this issue the other week. Um, okay, bear with me. I gotta unplug my top-down camera real quick and then plug it back in. I'll still be here. It's just the top-down's not working. Oh, yeah, it's not working for some reason. Let me try that one more time. There's always something technical going on that I've gotta mess with. Switch that. Find my icon. Let's hope this works. That's not doing anything. Trying to get my Zoom, and it's not seeming to want to cooperate. Let me try one more thing. Sorry, everyone. Uh, I think I found the reason why. Okay, we got blurry. We can deal with blurry, right? I think I might have found the reason why it won't work. I found the reason. I didn't have the one setting clicked on. Okay. I gotta get one thing over here before we start. I've got yarn flying everywhere. Bear with me, everyone. I wasn't really prepared tonight. I got something I'm gonna do. So, by any chance is North Ferry around? Okay, North Ferry. So, the other night, what was it? Saturday night when we were doing that hideous granny square that had everybody pick colors. And you had mentioned, and I asked when with the rainbow colored yarn or whatever, and I asked the light or the dark, and you said dark, and then you said something about your rap sheet, and I started laughing about you actually rapping, and then you said word to your mother because she's a nice lady. Okay, that stuck in my head for the past couple days. So I'm gonna make a fool of myself on the internet. When don't I make a fool of myself? I'm not gonna actually go into rap, but I'm going. I wrote a couple lines of a rap called "Here's some sad green yarn, not to be shady. Word to your mother, 'cause she's a nice lady." Yeah, that was pretty bad. I need to I need to not go into music. Yes, I am. Okay. Where was I? Oh, okay. Back to this. And if I can, now I can zoom. Okay. So again, does anybody have any questions? Think you had asked Clay Mika, you had asked about, you messaged me. Oh God. Um, you private messaged me about how many stitches across. Um, I don't know if it was clear. I'm doing 400 because that's going to be approximately. I have a link to. Okay, that could work too. You could use any weather service, any temperature tracking site. The main thing is to be consistent, because yeah, you're all gonna have you're gonna have the same range of temperatures. And for my instance, oh, thank you for that link. For mine, I'm doing a 10-degree range. If somebody's doing more colors, they're gonna have a smaller degree range, because you gotta have more colors fit into however many your extreme high and your extreme low, and you gotta fit all those colors in. But stay consistent. For me, mine's not gonna matter that much because it's the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, etc. Okay, so we've got the first 3 days. The fourth and the fifth were both in the 60s, which is the same color as the green. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to continue. I'm not going to change yarn because it's the same color that I have going already. The thing is, when you are using the same color yarn, you're going to finish the stitch, and you're going to finish the stitch, and you're going to chain one. If you're changing colors, you're going to, when you add the new color and finish the stitch, you're going to chain two. It affects it somehow because you're actually putting in an extra strand somehow. We're just going to go with it. We're going to go with whatever the pattern said. So we're going to do our chain. We're going to flip. And we're going to work in that first chain space, which is right here. I think. No, we're not. No, we're not. Here was a stitch. Actually, we're going to go back. We're going to go back a bit. We're going to rip out a couple stitches from the previous row. So we've chained, and we're going for my pattern. Again, you could do any type of pattern you want. For my pattern, is that a reference to something? For my pattern is you do a stitch, a chain, and you're doing it in the chain spaces from the previous row. So you're not going into the actual stitch. This happens to be this pattern that I'm using. You can do whatever pattern you want in a temperature blanket. This just happens to be the one I chose. So we're going to go in, do a single, and then a chain. And we've got one more chain space. We're going to go in and finish off our stitch. So now we don't have a chain space there. We have an actual single crochet. So our chain space, oh, we're communists now. Okay. So should I use only red? So I ended the row on a single crochet. So we're going to chain one, okay? And when we do our stitches, we're going in the chain spaces, which is going to be right here above the blue. The blue was, basically every other row is going to lock together. I don't know if that's making any sense. So we're going to chain and then flip. And now we're going to go into this chain space, which is here. So we're not going to go into the single crochet we just did from the previous row. We're going to go in the chain space. So we do a single, then a chain, and again, we're only working in the chain spaces, not in any actual stitch. And that way, you don't really got to pay too much attention to it, and you don't have to find the individual stitch, and it goes quicker. So we're working on the 4th of January right now, which from my records, it was 67 degrees. So, Claymaker, you said something about you're doing a 200 chain, so you're making like a, I guess that could be a twin, could be a baby blanket, could be an Afghan. How many? Wait, that would be. Well, if I'm doing the gauge, that would be about 40 inches wide. So that's more of an Afghan, I think. Are you doing similar colors that I'm doing? Like I'm doing every color of the rainbow? Or do you have a color palette? Like, are you doing blues and purples? And you just got different shades? Okay, that's cool. Okay. So it's going to be the similar type concept. You're also doing different days that I'm doing because you're not doing this year. You're doing something in the past, but then you're also doing a totally different palette. That's cool. Are you doing this stitch that I'm doing, or are you doing your like a different stitch? Yes. Yes to what? I like it too. It's a simple stitch, but um, it looks interesting because the way I look at it, it kind of looks like. So we've got like this is the first day, and then this is the second day, and they the stitches alternate because they're not right across from each other, and it kind of almost looks like the teeth on a zipper because they interlock with each other. Again, I don't take credit for this stitch. It was what I found on that one YouTuber. Um, I just thought it was a cool stitch, and it doesn't eat up a lot of yarn. I mean, I want to use the yarn that I have and use it up, but I don't want to end up running out real fast. Because certain stitches will um, eat up your yarn. And if there's anybody new to my stream, welcome. Constantly pulling out more slack. The other day, I cleaned out my um, tote bag, my yarn project bag. It's got a bunch of different little pockets, and on the top, it's got it's a zippered top, and it's a clear plastic on top, but it's got little grommets that you can thread your yarn through. So I cleaned it out. It had other stuff in it, and I put my yarn colors for this blanket in it. I didn't put the green in it because I'm in the process of working it. But when I switch colors, which a couple more rows, I am going to switch colors. Um, I'll be pulling actually from that work bag. my friend who got me into streaming, I was in his stream earlier today, and he was at the end of all of his streams. He always gives me a shout at me and another friend of his a shout out, and basically trying to promote my streams. So take a look at us, and he's he doesn't really come in here when I'm streaming because of his schedule. He's asleep right now. He works. He has to go to work like really early in the morning, and but he will catch it on after it's been uploaded either to YouTube or to replay it here on Twitch. And he mentioned that whenever he watches my stream and I'm crocheting like this and doing whatever I'm doing, he's following it. He said he bobs his head trying to follow the motion of the hook. He doesn't crochet. He's not a crafter. He's definitely a gamer. I thought it was pretty funny that he was saying that he bobs his head as he's watching. And when he watches it now, he's gonna be like, "Yep, that's what he's doing. That's bobbing along." So this row that I'm on and the next row are going to be the same color, so we're not going to have color variants. But the last two days of last week were a different color. I mean, when you've been crocheting a while and you kind of get a rhythm, and it comes naturally. And sometimes I'm watching, I'm not bobbing my head, but like my eyes are just following it because I mean I gotta somewhat pay attention. I'm not one of those. Well, actually, I can do it here on stream because I'm watching my camera what I'm doing. But I gotta move this out of the way. But I'm not really one to sit there and crochet and watch TV constantly, and I can't really have a full conversation. I mean, I can have a conversation with somebody, but it's not like I'm just looking at them 100% of the time. Definitely have to look at what I'm doing. And I don't know if anybody's noticed my schedule below, or however it is on my stream, I updated it, and I'll give more hints when I do a closing. No, I can't do that. And no, when I'm doing this, I don't shake my knee. And Grammy knows exactly what I'm talking about. I can't be doing that when I'm crocheting. That's just way too. I'm not that coordinated. So you said you're doing white, two pinks, two purples, and two teals. So that's 7 colors. Are you doing the same color range? I mean, not color range. Temperature range, meaning the anything below 40, the 40s, the 50, etc. So like in 10-degree increments. losing. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold up. Okay. I got it. I got it. I got it. There's one stitch that I did wrong. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. No, we're good. I'm looking at it differently. We're good. Almost done this row. Okay, cool. I mean, that makes the most sense. Hold up. Am I doing this right? Oh, okay. Welcome, old Stitcher. You know what? I think I did that row completely wrong. Let me just double check. It looks weird to me for some reason. Exactly. Hold on. Going across from that. Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at the wrong part. Let me double check this. Yeah, I did that wrong. But that's okay. That's the beauty of crochet. You can easily rip it out. At least this is, I know the first three rows from the other night are correct. Okay. Okay. I ripped it out to where it was messed up. Okay. That's fine. I think it was because I was running my mouth and trying to find where the stitch and where the space is. I just gotta. Oh, okay. Yeah, the Mexican yarn. Yeah. That dark rainbow yarn. Okay. So, anybody that has that issue, and I'm doing in my row here, The row I'm working on is the same color as the previous row. You got to think of it as, okay, this section here. So this stitch was day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. So 1 and 3 are going to be on top of each other, and 2 and 4. So yeah, what I was stitching was I was stitching row 4 on top of row 3. I got to stitch it on top of row, put my hook above row 2. It's easier when it's a different color to see where to go, but when it's the same color, it can be confusing. But all's not lost. Not permanent. It's not like I got 50 rows done and then realized, oh, I messed up on row 3. If that was the case, I'd just let it go. Just like, okay, that's how it's going to be. It's not that big of a, I mean, yeah. And Grammy has told me about this one project that she's working on, and it's enough to boggle my mind. It's like, no, at least with crochet, take the hook out and just start ripping, and I'm not gonna lose any fabric, lose any yarn. I'm not gonna have to have an issue. Actually, that's what I was doing past couple days. I've had a bunch of, that is true, but I don't want a challenge to the point where I have a migraine. But that's what I was doing the past couple, about week or so, on and off. Jack Daniels. No, that's what I thought. I was like, no, like she doesn't have any Jack Daniels. But what I've been doing is I've had some projects that were finished or partially finished, and I'm like, okay, they're sitting here. I'm never going to do anything with it, so I'm going to frog it all, and reclaimed all that yarn that was used. So now, sitting next to me on the floor, there's a big bag full of bits of yarn that can be incorporated into something. A lot of it's not appropriate for this project because a lot of it's some novelty yarn and there's some chunky yarn. But could be for something in the future here on the channel. Okay, need to crochet a little quicker. That was a little bit of a setback, but that's fine. I was trying to think. I'll have to set something up. I don't know where the best Twitter, Twitter or Instagram might be the best place because you can't really upload pictures here to Twitch or to YouTube. But if anybody else is working on a, this doing this with me or any other projects or whatever, and they wanted to upload a picture of it of their progress, that'd be cool to see. I'll have to figure that out. I don't have a platform for that right now. I mean, I do have a Twitter and I do have an Instagram, but I'm not that haven't used it that often. Okay, we're almost to the end of this row. Yeah, the stitches are looking a lot better than they should. Than they were before. And if North Fairy's still around, sorry, I don't have enough sad green to put into this blanket. If I did, I'd definitely use it. Prozac purple. Whatever works for you. I just heard a dog bark. Either that or a fox. Heard it again. Okay, we're coming to the very end. January 4th. And we get to do January 5th. Okay. I'm not going to change colors here because my next row is the same color as this. But when I get to the end of the following row, then I'll slow down and show you change of color. Yeah, changing color can be a difficult thing sometimes. No problem. I want to make certain lining this up right. I missed a stitch on that one day, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. Okay, so January the 4th is done. Now I'm going to do the 5th, and the 5th was 62, which on my scale is still green. So I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to turn and do that exact same thing But this time, I got to build it on top of, not the row I did, the previous row. If that makes any sense. Because again, all the odd number days are on top of each other and all the even, because the stitches basically go back and forth, side to side, as work them up for this pattern. Trying to make certain I'm going in the right spots where I need to go. Yeah, we're good. Did I do it? Yeah, I did a chain stitch. Sometimes I forget if I've done the stitch or not. Getting everything out of the way. Yep, in between the V's. You don't want to go in the middle of a V. You want to go between the two V's. That's probably the best way to describe it. And you can kind of feel it with your fingers. There's more of an opening, there's a larger opening between the V's than there is in the middle of a V. So, Old Stitcher, you said that you're using that Mexican variegated yarn. What other, is that your color palette, or are you just using, um, are there any other colors you're using? And do you have a different range of temperatures than what I'm using? Could do this centered in under cam. I keep tending to do this and pulling it off cam. I need to. I'm not that far. Okay, cool. It's. I think that's cool that we've got other people in here that are doing similar project. Okay. Sounds like it's going to be very colorful. Now, are you doing any specific purples? Or are you doing what I'm doing? And I don't know if you had caught my stream the other day. I'm using any green. I'm using this to bust through my stash. So I just happened to pick this green to start with. At some other time, I'll grab another green, and it's going to be for that same temperature range for me for anything in the 60s. Okay, kind of like what I'm doing. Yeah. The only thing that I'm gonna need to do, and it's gonna be when the weather gets warmer, is I am gonna have to get some yellow and some orange yarn because those are the two colors I'm low on. But I only need a couple skeins of that. It's not like I need a lot of it. Seem to have a lot of blues. A lot of blues. Yeah, when I get to the end of this row, I will go slow to show you how to change colors. It's also the same way that, let's say I ran out of this color here mid stripe. It's the same way of joining the adding more of that same. Let's say I got the end of the ball of yarn here right now, and I get another ball and add mid stripe. But when we get to the end, I'll show you. That might be something I could do on one of these, one stream one night, is do to show some joining techniques of joining colors and also um, joining panels or squares to each other. I'll have to write that down at some point. That might be a good thing to show. At halfway down this row, kind of get into a rhythm. Like I mentioned before, my friend will sit here and just watch the hook move in and out. I'm kind of excited to see how this is going to look as the weeks go by. Luckily, I haven't had to use any white yet. White means it's cold, in my case. Yeah, but it's just the beginning of January. We need to keep the colors in the greens and the yellows and the oranges. Oh, I'm okay with green too. Stop collaborating. Listen. Wow. There, there we go again. Ice Fairy and now Old Stitcher. We got our wrappers. Do you want me to? Do you want me to quit? Want me to say my verse again? See, you all can sing that and say that. I'm not. I can't do that. I can't even quote everything that you're the lyrics you're saying. We're getting there. Believe it or not, we're getting there. And I'll be done with green for tonight. Well, no, it's not even that. It's Twitch's rules. It's not necessarily a DMCA thing. I mean, yeah, I can't play the music, but I can't even sing it without music, like a cappella. I can't even do that, which I think is kind of stupid. But that's part of the terms of service that I agreed to when I signed up and to stream here on Twitch. Yeah, I mean, I'm a small streamer. I don't think I'm gonna have any um, issues if I did do that, but I don't want to take the risk. Now, I could play or sing music if it's my own original piece, but as we saw earlier, I am not musically inclined in any manner. I don't know. I don't. You can do public domain? You would think because they're public domain. I don't even want to run the risk of that. But public domain, a lot of that stuff is super old that nobody's gonna know any of those. I'm not gonna even know any of those. Okay, we're almost to the end here. Yeah, I like this stitch, how quickly it works up. Just double checking to make certain I'm on the right day. And make certain that I did my chain stitch. Okay, we're coming into the very end, and this is where we're going to go slow. Let me get my blue yarn, because for me, Friday the 6th and Saturday the 7th were both in the 50s, the very low 50s, which it was almost purple, but it's blue. I'm just pulling some excess out of my project bag. Okay. So I've got 2 more stitches to do. So this is where I'm going to go real slow for you. For anybody that needs a... Actually, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go into this stitch, do a chain, and now my very last stitch, it's right in here. And that's... The edges can be tricky. But we're going to go right into here. Let's see if I can find it. So I went into my last stitch. Okay? And it pulled up 2 loops on my yarn. Yeah. But at least you're catching it now, pulling out an entire row, not after you've done 50 rows. And you're doing a shorter blanket, so that's a little bit less hectic. So again, let's do this again. So we're at the very last stitch. So we're going to insert it into the space, yarn over, bring it up. We have 2 on the hook. Okay? So now, what I'm going to do is this is my working yarn here that I was using. I'm going to cut my tail, just so I don't have to worry about the ball of yarn anymore. Okay? These are my tails from the previous row. Don't worry about those. Then what I'm going to do is with my new yarn, because this time we're changing colors. I almost had a knot in it. Changing colors. And you're going to leave a tail roughly the same size. And then you're going to hook the new yarn on the hook. And then you're going to pull that new yarn through to finish that single crochet. Then, ignore the other tails, but these 2 tails here from my previous row and my new row that I'm going to be working on, this blue and this green, I'm going to hold it here between my thumb and my middle finger of my left hand, and I'm going to tighten it up like you would snug up the stitch. And again, it's actually looped around my ring finger here to add some tension. And now we're adding a new color, so we're going to chain 2. Again, this is our new color, and we're going to flip it and start again. Now what I'm going to do, this stitch is a little different that I can't really weave in my tails as I go, but I'm going to try. So now, again, we're going to go between the V's. Here's a V. There's a V, and there's a V. That was the stitch we just completed. So we're going to go in between. And there we go. And now we just continue like we were doing before. Did that make sense, Old Stitcher? If you're still here? If not, I can rip it out and do it over again. Thick. Okay, yeah, we're good. Welcome to anybody coming in. I see there's new people coming in. I can't see who it is, but I noticed the viewer count's going up. So, everybody, welcome. What I'm doing is we're making a temperature blanket, and basically the weather is going of each day is going to um, determine the color that we're going to use. Okay, you got it now? You could use that exact same technique of joining yarn if you happen to run out in the middle of a row. You would just normally just use the same color and do that same technique. That way it's a little bit cleaner and you don't have a lot of knots. So we're on the 6th. I'm on the 6th row. And that means I got to do this row and then one more row tonight, and we'll be done the first week of January. Woohoo! Yes, that's according to the pattern that the YouTuber that was, it's called the Secret Yarnery. That was her pattern. Um, we're just gonna go with it. So 2 chains when you're changing color, and 1 chain when you're not. Which I don't know how that all works because it's still I don't know. I don't. That's just the way the pattern is. We're gonna go with it. Tonight I'm not doing um this Sunday and yesterday, but I already know the temperatures. So this row here for me will be blue. The following will be blue, and then the next two will be purple because they got down into the 40s as a high for Sunday and Monday here. That's okay. Yep. You don't worry about ripping it out. If it's minor little things like that, the only person that's going to know is you. And if somebody does look at it, A, they shouldn't be looking that close. And B, if they do, just say it's a design feature. Say that's how it's supposed to look. pull out a lot of extra slack. Exactly. It's a feature, not a bug. And if you have those imperfections, that's how you know it's handmade. If everything was 100% perfect, it wouldn't be special. Yeah, I know. I know. Problem with doing a blanket here at a desk, my working yarn gets caught up into my work. You're probably sitting there and it's in your lap and you could hold it a different way. And this, I gotta modify how I do it so y'all can see it. Is there a knot in there? No, it's a tiny knot. I'm gonna say screw it. We're gonna incorporate it. Normally I wouldn't. Now my plan for Thursdays, as of now, is something that I'm calling Stitch Dictionary. I have a book of over 200 stitches, and some of them are the basic stitches like the single and the chain and the double. We're not going to go over those. But I'm going to go through the book and find some interesting ones and show how to do them. They're more complex and involved different patterns. Kind of like this one. This isn't as complex. That is something that anybody would be interested in seeing on stream. And I'm also open to ideas of other types of craft type things. I still have to do some brainstorming for other things. I need to do stuff that's not always crochet and yarn based. And I'm trying to figure out my setup. I do want occasionally want to have I got to change my rig and my setup and how I'm gonna do it. But to do some floral arranging with artificial flowers. But that's a technical behind the scenes thing of logistically how I'm going to do it. That's not something You know, I've never done the basket weave stitch, and I think that's in the book. I want to try. And there's another stitch, and I don't know if it's in the book. Um, the waffle stitch. I'll have to look both of those up. I think the basket weave is in there. I'm going to do the popcorn stitch, which is very common. Yeah, I just got to figure out how I'm going to set up in the camera and everything, because I can't do floral arranging flat like this. I can't do a top down because my desk isn't deep enough for that, and you would only see the top of it. You need something that's, yeah, I'd have to brainstorm and figure out how I'm going to set that up. But I think I'll be able to do that. Yeah, I've never done the waffle or the basket weave, and those are two I definitely want to attempt. I mean, I could do them. It's just it's not something I have actually sat down and attempted. Yeah, they do go through yarn fast. Hey, we're getting near the end of this row. Yep. The other week I did do a stream about front and back post crochet. I don't know if anybody caught that. Um, that they are uploaded onto YouTube, like all of my streams. I might oh cool. Oh, okay. I was doing double crochet there. There's no double crochet in this project. I don't know why I went into double crochet mode. Sometimes your hands just decide, nope, we're not doing that. We're doing something different. Wait a minute. I did it again. Single crochet. Okay. Not double. I don't know why I was doing double. I guess talking about other stitches, my hands are like, no, let's do a different one now. Caught the wrong. Okay. The hook went into the wrong stitch, but I caught it before anything else happened. We're getting near the very end. And there'll be one more row for tonight. I gotta go in between the V's, not in the middle of a V. Learn. It's okay, y'all can laugh at me. Okay, we're at the end here. We're gonna go in that last one. We finished the row. I need a little bit of drink. It out a little bit. My edge is a little wonky too, but that'll happen. And now we're gonna chain one and flip our work to do our last row. It's the same color. Oh, cool. Yeah, my row is a little wonky, but it's all good. I just hope I'm not increasing and I actually have a triangular blanket instead of a triangle. That would be the worst. Get all done this and one end is narrower than the other. What game are you playing? Not that I know many video games or know how to play many video games. I mean, I know how to play some video games, but the ones I know how to play are like the ancient ones. I don't know. Don't know anything about that. Now, if you said like Pac Man or Space Invaders or Super Mario, it sounds like a shoot 'em up type game. God, I sound like an old person. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I need to pull out a whole bunch of this yarn. Not constantly doing that. Of course, death would probably be your favorite. Oh, God. Well, you said it and I didn't. I'm not going. I'm not going anywhere near any of that. That's for you all to deal with. Does your shed also have a cot? I think back in the day, it wasn't referred to as shed. It was referred to as the doghouse. Yeah, that's not safe. Don't do that. Actually, this is turning out to be just about a good because it's I've been streaming for an hour and a half and I'm almost done my last row. That's a good, pretty good use of time. Yeah, no, I don't want it. I don't want it. A bigger table. Even bigger tables. Pastels. No, 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 no. Sad green. Sad green. We're gonna leave it right there. To go with your Prozac purples. Okay, now that would be cool. Actually, I didn't know you when years ago when we would have themed parties, and Grammy's gonna know what I'm talking about. And 2 years, and I think I mentioned this to you before. I think um 2 years in a row we had a luau themed party in our basement, and I made a tiki hut bar. It wasn't outdoor, but and it was temporary. I still have all the pieces to it, so I could erect it. I just don't have a tabletop for it because now that table is being used as a desk. But that was a pretty cool looking tiki bar. I need to remember to put my work under the camera. I could easily put it together. Amazing things that you can build with PVC pipe. And also, one year we had a Wild West party, and I turned our pool table that we always use as a buffet into a Conestoga wagon. That was pretty cool too. I know she went to at least the first luau. I have evidence of that. I have photographic evidence. And did she? And she did go to. Nah, you didn't go to all of them. You did go to the Wild West party because I know your sister went to the Wild West party. You missed my mom's good what? What? You know where she lives? But yeah, I'll have to find pictures. Actually, I think there's some video too. Yeah, we had all different types of music and food and games and all good stuff. Okay, we're getting near the end. This works up fast. About a foot and a half left of this row. The cow herding game was fun. Also, the egg game. You need a replacement? Well, get done this row, and then when we pick this up next Sunday, we will change colors from blue to purple. Kind of interesting to throw a third color into the mix. And since I know I'm going to be changing colors, when I get to the end, I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I don't have to, because I'm not going to finish off that last stitch because I'm going to be changing colors next week. Couple more stitches left. Okay. Right here, that's where I'm going to leave it because that's, oh, wait a minute, I got to make certain it's the right, it's not the right stitch. That's the right stitch, put in the right spot. That's where I'm going to leave it because the next row will be a different color. Will be purple. I don't know if you could tell. Yeah, you can kind of tell a difference. It's not really showing much up on camera. I might choose a different purple. I'll have to see what purples I have over there. This is also a little bit thinner weight of a yarn, but it could still work. I will trim the tail of this blue because I'm not going to use blue for the next row. Yeah, I think I'll find another purple. So that's our first 7 days. Just imagine this repeated 52 more times, and we'll have the full blanket. Not the colors, but that's the width. So what do we have for width? We've got about 2 inches for 7 days. I like it too. I'm just kind of excited to see how the rest of it's going to look. I know the next 2 days are going to be purple because Sunday and Monday were in the 40s. Let me pop that up. Put this away. So in closing, remember to check out my socials. Mainly YouTube. Gotta work on the Twitter and the Instagram. Maybe I'll figure out how Instagram really works. Okay, let me put it to this way: those who are working on a project along with me, do you guys use? Oh, I know what Clay Miko uses. Um, do you guys use Instagram, Twitter? Clay Miko can message me privately because I would love to see pictures of what you're working on or any progress that you're making. Um, well, you're not making a blanket at the moment, but anything else you're working on, that's cool too. But you can instant message me too. I'm talking about like Old Stitcher, if Old Stitcher's still around. Um, I gotta look more into how Instagram really works. I've never really used it that much. Um, so that's that. Like I said, Sunday and Tuesday, we'll come back to the temperature blanket. Thursday, think we're gonna start the Stitch Dictionary, and real brief. I'm not gonna really show this on screen too much. The book I have, yeah, it's not gonna show up. There we are. It's called the Crochet. It's actually called the Crochet Stitch Dictionary, and it's got. Hey, that works. That's all that matters. But in here are different stitches, some more complex than others, and I'll be selecting some out of here of rented. Wait, wait? Did you really the library? I mean, libraries are good at all, but it's not something you hear much these days. But oh, I'm all for libraries. Oh, here's the basket stitch. Well, they were mentioning basket stitch. You can't really see it because of my software I'm using. Yeah, there's a bunch in here that I'm not gonna go through all 200 because that's a lot of stitches. But we'll work on that. And I'm still trying to come up with something for this Saturday to do. Not 100% certain what. And I am going to work on my setup for floral, but I got to change things, different camera angle. I think that's it. Follow if you want to follow. Check out my YouTube channel, which is listed below. All of my streams are uploaded immediately two there. Well, it takes a couple minutes. But when I'm done the stream, they'll be on my YouTube, and the link should be somewhere further below. And I think that's it for tonight. So I will chat with you all on Thursday. You have a good evening.